Overwatering is as likely to be a problem in your garden as underwatering, because just as if you hold a person's head underwater too long, if the roots are submerged too long, there's going to be a problem. So how do we know how often to water? Welcome back, casual gardeners. This is the first in a series of videos in which I'm going to answer the most frequently asked questions about gardening. In this video, we're focused on the question, how often should I water? And because it's about water, I'm wearing my beautiful blue octopus shirt. Plants are adapted for intermittent rain. Even in the rainforests, there's not rain 365 days per year. And our gardens should be the same. Unless you're starting seedlings, you should not water your garden every day. If you're watering every day, you're probably not watering right. Daily watering is more likely than not to damage your plants, unless you're growing in extremely sandy soil, like, a sandbox. Daily watering is more likely to keep those air pockets in the soil filled with water, so your plant roots can't breathe. It's more likely to encourage bacterial wilts and fungal infections in your crops, and it may wash away essential nutrients before your plants can even get to them. Some symptoms of overwatering include wilted leaves, yellowed leaves, and even stunted growth. So if you're getting those symptoms and you're watering and they're not going away, stop watering. The top 1 to 3 inches of your soil should dry out between waterings, depending on the plants that you are watering and where they are in their life cycles. There are 5 major factors that determine how often we should water. Number 1 is soil type. Sandy soil is the worst at holding on to water and is going to be the soil that we have to water the most frequently. Clay soils, on the other hand, hold on to water like a codependent partner, and you may hardly have to water at all. Loamy soils are the Goldilocks of soils. They have just the right combination of particles and stuff to have great drainage, but also retain water sufficiently for your plants. So if you're lucky enough to be growing in loamy soil, then you're halfway there. I miss my old loamy soil in my old garden. So my very first garden that I really started getting into gardening in just happened to have sandy loam soil. So I'm going to check my privilege now, because now I'm growing in clay soil. Life is a lot more challenging in clay soil. If you're growing in sandy soil or clay soil, the solution is the same. Add more organic material. That organic matter will take your soil profile closer to the properties of loamy soil in your plants, and you will be a lot happier. Never add sand to clay soil or clay to sandy soil. It might feel like you're bringing them closer to a happy medium, but in reality, you're just mixing cement. Number 2, we're looking at plant types. For example, lettuce is going to want pretty consistent watering. It doesn't like to dry out. Do you, lettuce? No, you don't. Tomatoes, on the other hand, will do best with deeper, less frequent watering. And in most climates, your succulents are going to thrive on neglect. It's a really good idea to group your plants according to their needs when you're planning your garden. For instance, you're not going to want to grow your lettuce with your tomatoes long term. I do like to grow lettuce with tomatoes short term because the lettuce acts as a green mulch, but over the long term, that lettuce isn't going to be very happy because the water is going to be too deep for it. I'm having a lot of wind. I apologize for all the banging noises. All right, number 3 is weather. In hot, dry, windy weather, you're more likely to lose a lot of your water to evaporation, and your soil is going to dry out faster. In cool, humid, overcast weather, on the other hand, your moisture is going to stick around as close to indefinitely as we get in this world. Your watering schedule should be informed not by a calendar, but by the weather that you're having and the season of the year, which is, I guess, kind of like a calendar thing. Number 4, plant size and root depth are going to be a factor. Small plants with shallower roots will dry out sooner because the surface of the soil dries out first and the water kind of migrates down through the soil. Larger plants with deeper roots, like tomatoes, can go a lot longer between watering because their roots can follow the water down and keep that plant hydrated a lot longer. Seedlings have very shallow roots. So if you're just starting seedlings and they're very little, you're going to have to water more frequently than you will once those seedlings have grown up. And if you're starting seeds, especially if you're starting carrots, you may actually have to water daily until they germinate. And if you're growing carrots, you might have to water multiple times a day. Number 5 is mulch. I love mulch. A mulched bed can use a lot less water than an unmulched bed. Mulch creates a humid, sheltered layer at the top of the soil, which allows the soil to hold on to the water a lot longer. It doesn't dry out as fast. Mulch can also shade the soil, which keeps it cooler, and you lose a lot less of that moisture to evaporation that way as well. Here in Utah, where we have plenty of calcium in our soil, I know that if I see blossom end rot in my tomatoes, it's because I need to mulch the soil around my plants. They're not missing calcium. They're losing their water too quickly in between waterings. And just providing a layer of mulch around my tomatoes will make the moisture a lot more consistent, and they'll be able to absorb the calcium that's already there. Your garden can't tell you when it needs water. Or can it? All right, one thing you can do is the finger test. Poke your finger into the soil. If it's moist, 1 to 3 inches deep, you don't need to water. If it's dry, all the way down in, you probably should. You can also look at signals from your plants. Your plants will tell you when they're thirsty if you only know how to listen. A little bit of wilting during the day is normal, but if you get wilting during the day that the plants don't recover from at night, you probably need to step up your watering a little bit. Another thing you can do is look at your plants in the morning. If they're wilted, since they are coming out of the coolest part of their day cycle, you know that they need water. Don't let your plants wilt too much, because there is a point of no return where that wilted leaf is just going to die no matter what. The cell walls just lose all their support and they crumple up and the cells die, and it's not pretty. So don't let them get that far, but you can use a little bit of wilting as a signal of when to water. If you see chronic wilting that does not recover after watering or does not recover in a cooler part of the day, you should probably assume that you've damaged the roots a little bit from overwatering, and just kind of back off and watch things until they recover. Now, because container plants are not protected by a bunch of soil around their soil, the soil can heat up a lot faster and dry out a lot faster than plants that are growing in the ground. Try lifting the pot. Here, I'll lift this pot. Ooh, nice and heavy pot. If the pot is light, it's time to water. You can reduce how often you need to water container plants by using larger containers, because that larger bulk of soil takes longer to heat up and lose all its water through evaporation. You can space it out a little bit more. Also, a plastic container is going to lose less water than a grow bag, which is going to lose a ton of water. I should do a video about grow bags and why I'm not going to use them anymore. Stay tuned. In a large enough container, we're back to the finger test to see if it needs water because it's too heavy to pick it up. Container plants can be an exception and may actually require daily watering in the summer. Like if you got flowers on your patio, you might have to water them every day. It's okay. So different kinds of plants are going to need water at different intervals. A vegetable garden is only going to need to be watered 1 or 2 times a week, even in the heat of summer. Shallow daily watering is actually going to result in wimpy roots that are a lot less drought tolerant. However, if you water less frequently and much more deeply, then the roots will follow the water down, and you're going to wind up with much more drought resistant crops that are going to wilt a lot less on those hot summer days. If you find that you need to water your vegetables more than twice a week, before you start watering them more, try a layer of mulch and see if that fixes the problem. And if you're watering more than 3 times a week, you're probably growing in your sandbox. Established fruit trees or shrubs are going to need watering once a week or even once every other week. However, smaller trees and shrubs may need to be watered more frequently as they become established. Also keep in mind that a warm, dry winter can wreck your trees and shrubs. I lost a tree that way. So if you are not seeing a lot of moisture in the winter and things are possibly drying out, remember that your trees and shrubs are not fully hibernating. They're still kind of kicking around doing life stuff, and they'd appreciate some supplemental watering during that dry stretch. Mediterranean herbs like rosemary, thyme, and oregano need a lot less water. So you're going to want to let them dry out more in between waterings. However, herbs like basil and cilantro are going to need more water. So you're going to want to water them more frequently, especially cilantro. It's a very thirsty herb. You're going to want to group your herbs according to their relative climates so that you can provide conditions that are right for each group of herbs. It'll make life better for your herbs and easier for you. Most houseplants are overwatered. Let about half of the pot dry out in between waterings. Since they are in a pot, you can lift them up and see if they're getting lighter than you're used to, and that's a really good sign that it's time to hit them with some water. It's actually super easy to forget to do things that we don't do every day, and I find that I am prone to forgetting to water my houseplants and my lemon and avocado tree when they're indoors. To combat that, I've actually set an alarm in my calendar app on my phone, and it just goes off when it's time to go around and water all my plants. And that has kept everything alive and thriving, even though I am a doddering old man. Give it a try. Your watering method is going to be as important as how often you water. Water deeply. Charge up that soil to encourage the deep growth. Water slowly. Watering too quickly is going to result in losing some or even most of that water to runoff. It's not going to go where you want it. If possible, water at the soil level. Overhead watering is going to result in more disease exposure for your plants and more runoff. Drip irrigation is amazing for this, and it's a lot easier to set up than you might think. This is my second garden that I've set up fully on automatically timed drip irrigation, and it just gets easier every time. So the first time could be a struggle, but it's worth it because it's probably not your first garden or your last garden. That's what I meant. The time of day that we water our gardens will also make a difference. The best time to water your garden is early in the morning. So the water is there and has time to soak into the soil before the day hots up and you start losing it to evaporation. The second most time to water is in the evening, so that it has lots of time to soak into the soil before day comes back around. But watering in the evening is second best, because you are also going to encourage more diseases and pests by doing that. Watering in the day results in the most loss to evaporation and is going to be the least efficient time to water. But I would encourage you, if you think a plant really, really needs water and you're worried about it, don't wait until the evening. Just water it if you think it needs it, okay? If your plant wilts past a point of no return, you've lost a plant. So what are some tips that you think I missed or that you disagree with? Let me know down in the comments. A discussion usually winds up being helpful not only for the people doing the discussing, but also for any people who are a little too shy to make a comment of their own. So we can help each other out as gardeners, and that is awesome. Like this video if you found it helpful, and make sure you're subscribed to my channel if you would like to see the rest of this video series. This is only the very first of the most asked gardening questions, the gardening FAQ, if you will. I've included some links down in the description to the Utah State University Extension program. They have a lot of amazing gardening information, and I've kind of broken up the links by category. If you live in Utah, it's going to be a really valuable gardening resource for you. If you're in another state, there is going to be another university extension that is providing gardening information specific to your climate, and you should check them out. Give it a try, find them. It's going to be a land grant college or an agricultural university. Those are all required to have extension services, and they are freaking amazing. You can't live without them. You think you can, but you can't. And as always, thank you so much for joining me here in my garden today. I hope you have a wonderful time in your own.